Yael grew up here in this suburb of Paris. But as soon as she graduates from high school, she's moving to Israel, where she would have to do military service. As a practicing Jew, she no longer sees any future for herself in France.
I used to see myself as a French woman of Jewish faith, but now I just feel like a Jewish woman. Anti-Semitism is getting worse. Now my mother won't even let me wear a Star of David. The only solution is to move to Israel.
She proudly shows us photos of her big sister, who's already done her military service in Israel. Yael hopes to follow her example and leave the victim role behind that she feels forced into in France. Yael's mother said she had to take her daughter out of the public school and send her to a private one. The anti-Semitic hostility from classmates eventually became too much.
The attackers are generally young Muslims. Unfortunately, that's how it is. They think a Jew is an Israeli and Israelis are criminals. The Muslims have imported the Middle East conflict to France.
And we're French Jews. We're not responsible for the problems in Israel.
Incidents like the arson attack on this kosher shop in January 2018 and the anti-Semitic murders of 2 women in Paris in 2017 are on the increase. The perpetrators tend to be young Muslims. But it's an issue not many people from the Muslim community want to talk about. Some try to justify their hatred of Jews with far-fetched conspiracy theories.
The Israelis are paying the Islamic State to carry out attacks in Israel. The Israelis are the root of all evil. You know what I'm saying?
Jewish parents are often the ones left behind, many of them in the tranquil suburban neighborhoods. Their children have immigrated to Israel. Attorney William Goldnadel has a daughter, son and grandson in Israel. His son did his military service with an elite unit. Goldnadel supports his children and their plans, but it still hurts that they've left.
The Jewish community in France is very old. There's no reason to leave France. This is my country and my language. I'm just as close to the French as I am to the Israelis. I never advised my children to go to Israel. I wanted them to stay here longer. But kids at school were calling them dirty Jews. That's why they left.
Verbal and physical abuse, even assaults. Yael does not think the French authorities afford her and other Jews adequate protection.
I was in Poland and visited Auschwitz. The tour guide there told us a people without a land or an army can be destroyed at any time. And I told myself, if I want to do something for my people, I'm going to have to learn how to fight. And to do that, I'll have to go to Israel.
An estimated 50,000 Jews have left France to date. Among them are many young people now serving with Israel's armed forces. But others in France's Jewish community are still skeptical. The Israeli Peace Now movement and its French affiliate are dedicated to resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It says it's a mistake for families to let their children serve in Israel's army.
If these kids are posted at a checkpoint in Israel, where they could be forced to shoot at people, they're not going to come away without psychological scars. Not even if they had no choice at that moment and believed they were doing the right thing.
17-year-old Yael brushes off such warnings. It can hardly be any worse in Israel than in France, she says.
My dream is for my parents to come to Israel themselves eventually, and for us all to live there together.
She, at least, wants to live her dream, even if it's not in the country she grew up in.